Hello everyone. Welcome back to another session on Python. So today we'll be discussing about control flow, logic and loops. So the focus will be directing the execution path of our code and using conditional branching. And if there is a requirement of automation or automated iterations, so we can also do that. Okay. Now, for decision makings, we can use if else and match as well. So if I want to provide multiple conditions, I can use if else. There is also like if I want to provide a more structural pattern matching, I can use match and case. Okay. So as we go along, we will look at how to use it. Okay. Now, especially like when I'm using match, so an important note, because this is a very recent feature, like it is available only after 3.10 or higher versions. If for some reason, if you are using or wherever you're working, if in your environment it is below that, so try to avoid match. So you might get prompted, or if you if you Google or look at some documentation, it will ask you like you can install some libraries and then the match will work. But I've seen a lot of times it failing. So either you upgrade your Python version, okay, or else if you don't have the upgraded Python version, then I would recommend just go ahead with if else. Okay. So workarounds basically like kind of fail. Okay. Now, apart from that, today we'll look at while loop. So this while loop executes a set of code or a block of code continuously as long as the specific condition remains is true. Once you come out of that condition, or the condition is not true anymore, or it's false, it will come out of that loop. So make sure whenever you are writing a code, you do not fall into that infinite loop trap. Okay. Now, next we will also take a look at for loop. So unlike like while loops, for loops act as iterators. So they are designed to step through the items like in a collection. So in the previous sessions, you might have seen how for loop works. So we will take a look at a few more examples. Okay. Apart from that, we can also bring in range, which is like a built-in function that generates a sequence of numbers, and it is heavily used for these for loops. So when you just need to keep repeating an action or a specific number of times, you can use this range as well. Okay. Apart from that, we also have a control loop control, like you can use break and continue for this loop control. Okay. Now let's go ahead with our coding. Okay. 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 Now let's start. Now, in the very first example, so what I have done, so basically I'm taking a number. Okay. I'm taking a number where I say that taking a variable, I'm assigning a number 85. So I'm writing an if condition. So remember, the indentation is very important when it comes to if. So if I'm not giving the indentation properly, everything will start breaking. Okay. So the indentation is very important. Okay. The spacing after the if. Okay. Now, so first we'll start with the variable. Suppose I'm assigning a variable is equal to 85. Okay. Now in my if condition, if I want to compare, I can use something like this, equals to twice. Okay. Double equals to. So if the variable is 100, okay, print status ready for analysis, data is coming. Okay. If the condition is not 100, then I can write an elif condition, else if data completeness greater than equal to 80, then the second print comes in. Then if I want to add another condition, another elif, data completeness is greater than equal to 50, then I have to print status critical, data is heavily fragmented. Else, if none of the first three conditions satisfy, we'll just go ahead, print status failed, insufficient data to proceed. Okay. In our condition, since it will not be equal to 100, it will come to the next one. So since for the next one, the the condition will satisfy, it will just go ahead and print the second elif, okay, or the second print. Okay. Now let's go ahead and execute this. Okay. Now to execute this, so basically what I will do, I will comment out the rest of the lines. Okay. And now let me just execute. Okay. So I should not have used this line. This one is for the second case. Okay. Now, if I want to execute, so I can just go ahead. Let me save it. So I've saved the file as day 3. So now if I go ahead and execute, so basically the status warning data is mostly complete. Proceed with caution. Okay. So this is what we are, or this is what it is executing. Okay. Now, since I have declared the variable as 85, this is the condition satisfied. So as a result, this is the print, the second print, it is printing. Okay. Now, next. Okay. Now, let me comment out this section. In Windows, I find a way. So if I want to comment on multiple lines, so I can use control and slash. Okay, I'll give you the details how to comment out in uh, in other platforms. Okay, so in the next example, okay, here. Okay, I can use the same command and slash to uncomment specific or number of lines. Okay. Now, in the second example, so I can use, I mean, I'm showing you matching. Okay. So again, I'm declaring a variable status code is equal to 404. Okay, or 404. And then if I use match status code, I can write case. Okay. Just like I'm using elif here, I'll be writing case. So case 200 print. So this is the condition. So if case is 200, then this is print this. Case 400, then print this. Case 404, then print this. And then we can also do something like this. If I want to pass multiple conditions in one shot, so I can do something like this. So like I can pass 500, 502, and 503. So case 500 or 502 or 503, then print server error, the engineering team has been notified. Okay. And then finally, if none of these conditions satisfy, then we will go ahead and print unknown status. So we'll just provide the status code. Now, since we already have defined the variable as 404, so our third case statement will be satisfied. So as a result, we'll get this print not found, the requested endpoint does not exist. Okay. Now let me just go ahead and execute this. Okay, so not found, the request endpoint does not exist. Okay, so we are getting this result. Okay, so since we have defined, again, just to repeat myself, since we have defined 404, so the case where will be equal to 404, it will just go ahead and print the values. Okay, now let's go into our next example. Okay. In this particular example, we will take a look at while loop. Okay, so for using while loop, basically the syntax first while, then the condition. Okay, then we'll end the condition with this colon and then print. Then formatting, attempting. I mean, whatever you want to achieve. Like after, if the condition satisfied, if you want to print, then print. Otherwise, if there are any other operations you want, you can add that operation as well. So this is the syntax. So basically, you'll start off with a while, provide the condition, and after the condition, after the indentation, you can provide the operation that you want for this particular while, okay, if the condition satisfies. So here I will do like I'll create two variables. I've created two variables, 0 and 3. So what it will do, it will keep looking at the variable retry count. So if the retry count is less than max retires, it will print the retry count +1. Okay. And in the next step, it will increment the retry count by 1. So retry count plus equals to 1. And then since we have that while loop, it will again go back. So it will start with 0. It will add 1. Then it becomes 1. So then again it will print out, then it will add another one with 1, so it becomes 2. So 2 is still less than 3, it will still print out. Now next, after 2, it will add another number, so it becomes 3. Now when it will become 3, the condition will not satisfy anymore, so it will come out of the loop, and then it will just print out connection attempts exhausted. Okay. Now let me just execute this. Okay, so now you can see attempting connection attempt 1, then attempting connection attempt 2, and then 3. So since we had already done it +1, so for the third time it has attempted, and now for 3 the condition is not I mean it became 3, so that's why it has the condition does not satisfy, so it came out of the loop, and after coming out of the loop there is a print connection attempts exhausted. So this is where we have the connection attempts exhausted. So we get it. It's now, if you are using, I mean, any, like if you're trying to connect to something in mobile applications, or there are so many applications where you are trying to connect. So this is how basically they generate that information. Okay. Okay. So with this, I will comment this section. Okay. Next, we will take a look at for loop and range. Okay. Okay. Now, here in for loop, it's pretty straightforwardly. Yeah. For I'm declaring a variable I in range from 1 to 6. Okay. So range is a function which will just give you numbers from whatever range value you are providing. So if you're providing 1 to 6, it will start with 1, then 2, 3, 4, 5. It will give you till 5. Okay. And then I'm just printing, I'm using this formatting, processing batch, and then I'm just using the variable. So every time it will print the number and go back into the loop. Okay. So if I'm having 5 numbers, then it will just print out 5 times. Okay. Now let me just go ahead and execute. Okay, so it starts with 1, then 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay. Okay. Next, okay. Here we will use a collection. Okay, we'll use a collection and like list. Okay, we'll use a list and then we'll print out the items in the list. Okay. Now, if I want to print out the items in the list, so basically, I'm defining a variable. So these are the items: so Power BI, Databricks, LangGraph, and Creo AI. Now, I'm defining a variable for tool in analytics tool, printf initializing operational checks for tool. Okay, so this is the variable that I'm passing. So it will just print out the different items in my variable. Okay. Or in my list, basically, because I've assigned a list to a variable, right? Okay, so I'm just printing out different values. Okay. Next, um, okay. Now, in the next example, uh, if there is a loop that goes on, okay, and I want to break that loop maybe at a certain position, okay. So if in my list there are multiple items, okay, and I want to break the loop at error, okay, in that particular scenario, I can use break, okay. Now, break basically if an error goes on, so break basically will stop. So either we can use continue. Continue basically what happens, it skips the iteration, okay, and then it it basically skips the next iteration, and break basically destroys the entire. Okay, so let me just execute. Okay. So in the first case, for continue, if you can see, okay, what I'll do, I'll keep specific, uh, then will comment out one by one and then I'll show you. Okay. So first I'm running the continue part. So here what happens? So in the say since I'm already having these what it called these items. So in the continue, you can see. So first extract, then transform, then window. So maintenance was maintenance. One second. Okay, yeah. After maintenance, then window. Just a second. Yes, correct. Okay, got it. So so in the for loop, it will just iterate between the items. So first extract, then transform. When maintenance comes, since we have done a continue on maintenance, so it will print skipping maintenance window. So first extract, then transform, then we are getting skipping maintenance window, then the later values like window, error, and cleanup. Okay, so it will just skip the value that we have assigned when it comes to continue, and then it will just print the other values. Okay. Now, if we'll do the other way, we use break. So now break, it will just stop at that point. Okay. So now this time what I'm doing, I'm using break. Okay. Let me show you how break will work. Okay. So now I'm doing a break when error. Okay. So when op or the variable is equal to error. So first it has printed extract, then transform, then maintenance, then if error, then it has printed the value, and then it has broken, or the break has been executed. That's why it stopped at that point, and then we are getting, that's why we are getting for the first four values, extract, transform, maintenance, load, and then at error, since you have defined the condition, it stops at error. Error. Okay, the loop stops at error. Okay. Now, in the next example, Okay. Yeah, that's fine. So we're good for today. So I hope you have liked this session, and if you feel anything like is missing, feel free to comment, and definitely I'll address that. Okay. Thank you so much for watching the video. Have a nice day.